Hi, my name is Rob. Ever since I saw Raiders of the Lost Ark in 1981 as a young adult, I've always been impressed with Indiana Jones's attire, his 1940s look, the fedora, the jacket, the pants, the shirt, and living on minimum wage at that time, I really could not afford to buy myself the best I could, but I could save my money, and I did get what I could. I went out and to Banana Republic, which at the time was Banana Republic Safari Outfitters, something like that. And you could actually buy clothes that looked like safari clothes. And I bought myself a bomber jacket. Now, the bomber jacket really wasn't an Indiana Jones jacket, but it did look good, and it was something I could afford, and it was good enough for then. I went out later and I bought this fedora, which, although brown, is nothing like the Indiana Jones fedora. I knew that, and I was okay with that. But for the most part, I felt that, as a fedora goes, it'll do for the time. And I wore this thing out. I wore this thing for many years, just going out and about. Then, in the late 80s, I bought this kind of canvas fedora, which I got down in Tijuana, and it was my party hat. I could wear that to the beach, drink a few beers, and call it good. Now, what we're going to open up today is an Akubra Adventurer. Now, the Akubra Adventurer is one of the newer lines. It's not the Federation 4 or the Federation or the other Federation that Akubra has, but it is something that they built, that they designed to be a little bit more in line with the Indiana Jones hat. Now, even though I have a great job, a decent career, and my kids are kind of grown up and I don't really have to support a full family like I used to, I decided that I wanted to get, a decent similar hat to the Indiana Jones. However, you could go out, look online on the internet, and you'll find that you can get a John Penman hat for around $400, $500, or even Herbert Johnson fedora, the makers of the Indiana Jones hat, for around $650. Even though I may be able to afford that, I really don't feel like investing that much money into a hat, especially in these dire times. So what we're going to open up today is the Akubra Adventurer. The iconic image of Indiana Jones is defined by the fedora and the jacket. When George Lucas got together with Steven Spielberg, they talked about the films that they enjoyed growing up in the 1950s. One of those films was John Huston's Treasure of the Sierra Madre. Like me, they probably saw it on television. The stars of the film, Humphrey Bogart, wore a fedora that looked somewhat familiar. A familiar joke for their last 40 years was that the hat rarely fell off. Whether he was running from a giant boulder, flying on a biplane, digging in the sands of Egypt, riding on a horse, fighting, being dragged by a truck, hitching a ride on a submarine, falling out of an airplane, running the rapids, hanging on a dangling bridge, or even fighting Nazis on a blimp, even when in the case when the hat comes off, the hat always finds its way back to him. For Raiders of the Lost Ark, the English hat maker Herbert Johnson supplied Harrison Ford with 5 hats, called the Poet. It is said that between the scenes, Ford would mess with his hat, that he essentially moved the crease, or as it's called the bash, off-center, giving the hat an asymmetrical look. Even during different scenes in the film did the hat come to life with its own personality, if you will. The idol grab fedora. When he's chasing Marion down the streets during her kidnapping, it's called the Cairo fedora. He wears a gray fedora during his continent hopping, and that's called the Clipper fedora. After Raiders of the Lost Ark, the hat changed slightly. Now, most moviegoers didn't really notice. However, the real indie fan, Natick, knew. The sides of the hat that he wore in Raiders were straight up and down. However, starting with Temple of Doom, it gained a slight taper. Now, the hat in The Last Crusade and the Crystal Skull vary as well. Now, the Australian hat company Akubra has been around for over a century. I know they make sturdy and rugged hats in the land down under. However, they say to never leave your hat in the car or in direct sunlight when they're not wearing your hat. Okay, let's go ahead and open it up. So that's what it looks like. I was afraid of actually cutting the hat, but apparently it's well protected. Comes with instructions, my shipping invoice. It has a user manual. Did you know that hats need a user manual? And it tells how to attach the chin strap, but I don't think this hat comes with it. The open crown hats, the Adventure, it shows the Indy bash in it. So you might be able to get some instructions on that. So let's go ahead and complete opening it up. Has a little form keeper, I guess. Tissue paper. Now, I knew that it comes with another little hat band inside, just basically in case the hat comes a little bit too big for you. Comes with this hat form. I suppose you could use that later to keep your hats well formed. And it has this other piece of material inside there, so go ahead and put this off to the side. And let's take a look at what we got. So this is the hat. Plastic wrap around it. Has the goes ahead and has the ribbon there, and once again it does not have the bash. Now if you watch a lot of videos like I do on Indiana Jones hats, you're going to notice that, you know, Indiana Jones had a whole bunch of different hats. Each hat looked different from scene to scene, and this hat does not have the bash. So what I'm going to try and do is go ahead and put my own bash in it. As you can see, it doesn't have a full sweep down, doesn't have a full sweep in the back, and I am going to try and put the turn in. Take a look on the inside there. Akubra. So I know that when he wore the hat, it was slightly off to the side, and so therefore the crown was not actually there. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to take a look at actually putting in the crown. Okay, so let's go ahead and try and give this the bash. I have a little steamer here. It really is a Vicks steamer for inhaling. So let's go ahead and put this over that for a few moments and see what happens here. Now the trick is to make sure that the front is higher than the back. And so with this like this, we're going to turn it slightly like this. We're going to make sure that the bash runs in this direction. So we're going to start in the middle and try to move it forward like that. Give it some more steam, and then we'll work on the pinch. Now already this hat wants to move in its own direction. So let's go ahead and give it some steam on the front and see if we can get that pinch right. So with this going this way, I'm going to pinch it right about here. I'm going to kind of keep my fingers here. I'm going to steam it up a little bit more. Lower in the back, higher in the front. Pinch goes all the way down. Pushing it back a little bit here just to make sure it doesn't crease too much. More steam. Let's put a little steam on the brim in the front. Kind of push that down a little bit. Steam on the back, because that goes down as well. So that goes back to front. And then a little on the side, give it a slight turn. You know, the hat, this adventurer type of hat, was the typical type of hat that you would see in the older movies like Treasure of the Sierra Madre and a few other, you know, old-time movies that Lucas and Spielberg were influenced as kids by. As we all know, that Lucas really kind of liked old westerns, the old Flash Gordon series. And based on that, that's where he kind of took his ideas from. Now, there's many different ways of wearing an Indiana Jones hat. This is just one of them. This is the way I did it. I actually did some practicing on these other hats just to kind of get the idea of how it's done. Now, I hope you liked this video. I hope you enjoyed, you know, seeing another version of a hat, an Indiana Jones hat. This hat is the Adventurer from Akubra, sold by David Morgan. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching. Take care.